Today, we're diving into a crucial topic in the world of relationships. What to do when the woman you're dating starts to pull away. It's time to discover key strategies and tips for handling this situation effectively. I'll reveal 3 foolproof tips that will help you know what to do when this happens. First and foremost, I want to share something important with you. There are 5 fatal mistakes that many men make when they realize their girl is pulling away. The curious thing is that instead of bringing her closer, they end up pushing her even further away. You can see those mistakes right here in this video that I'll link in the cards. And, well, in that video, I asked them to tell me if they wanted to know what to do in those cases to avoid making those mistakes. Thanks to their comments, we decided to make this video, so without further ado, let's get started. Have you ever found yourself in a romantic relationship where everything seems to be going smoothly, but suddenly you notice that your partner is a bit distant? It's as if there's some kind of invisible barrier between you. Does that sound familiar? It's like being in a maze of emotions, trying to figure out how to regain that connection you once had. So, how should a guy handle it? How can he get her to go out on a date again? How can he be persistent without being too pushy? Before we delve into our first tip, I want to highlight something very important. The reasons why a girl pulls away can be diverse, and sometimes you may even have played a role in it. You may have been too insistent, said something inappropriate, or simply didn't take the initiative quickly enough. However, at other times, you may not have done anything wrong at all. It could be the girl's attachment style. As we know, people have different attachment styles. Some have an anxious attachment style, while others have a detached style, where they feel threatened by the idea of losing their independence or self-sufficiency by getting too close to someone. Therefore, sometimes the problem doesn't lie in something specific you did, but in how you react to her pulling away. Regardless of the reason behind her behavior, I want you to know that these tips I'll share with you will work. It's the right way to approach the situation when a girl pulls away. I talked to them about the idea that women test men, especially at the beginning. Many times, this is a natural reaction on their part, a kind of unconscious test. They're not planning to act distant or less available to see how you react. It's more of an internal defense mechanism. Most men tend to make mistakes at this stage and do exactly what I mentioned in the previous video. However, it's important to be aware of this and handle the situation properly. Don't go crazy thinking about what you did wrong. Remember that this could be a test and you should handle it calmly. 1. Take the pressure off. The first thing I want to address is something I get asked all the time. How can I get her to go out again? How can I invite her out again when a girl is losing interest? When she gives you that feeling of, well, I'm a bit busy, and you feel she's not as enthusiastic? The first thing you should do when a girl starts to pull away is to take the pressure off. Many times when girls are distancing themselves, it's because they feel pressure. Either pressure that you're really exerting on her, or just pressure that she's imagining. You went out with her once or twice, had fun, she liked you. But the reason why you had fun in those moments was because there were no strings attached. You were just getting to know this guy. There were no expectations. You weren't looking for anything more. I remember a friend I was working with, a guy who wanted to take a girl to see a play or something. A great gesture. It's not going to work because that increases even more pressure on her. Because when you make this big gesture, even if you never say it explicitly, she's going to feel like there's some expectation that you're doing it because you want something in return. Whether you want a relationship with her or just more of her attention, she'll feel more pressure because of that. The way to do it is that you can still invite her out. Essentially, you can take her on the date you want to take her on. But to take the pressure off, you present it as if you were going to do it anyway, and especially that it doesn't cost you anything. For example, you can say, oh, you know, this trendy restaurant just opened in a cool part of the city. And it's funny, a customer actually gave me a coupon to go try it for free. And it turns out I'm free tonight, so we should go. Are you free? Or, "Oh, my friend had tickets to this concert and it turns out he can't go. So he gave me 2 tickets. So if you're free tonight, we should go together." The same thing happened to another friend. His girl started to pull away, and he was the type who wanted to take her to this restaurant she'd been wanting to go to. And I told him, "Don't do that." I said, she worked near it, and I told him, "Why don't you tell her on Friday that you're meeting some co-workers for coffee and you don't want to stay with them all afternoon? Have her come for coffee with you. It's like Friday afternoon at 5, there are no expectations, it's nothing, it's totally casual." And of course he did it, they met, they had a great time, and they started going out again, and they're still together. 2. Be playfully persistent. Another piece of advice I want to give you is to be persistently playful even when inviting her out. I remember a coaching session with a guy who asked a girl out and she said no. He showed me his response via WhatsApp, which said, "Okay, understood." And I told him it revealed a bit of annoyance in his response. What you need to do is maintain a playful attitude. For example, if she tells you she's tired because she works until 7 am, instead of taking it seriously, you can respond in a playful way. For instance, you could say something like, "Oh, that's cool, they've invented something for that. It's called vodka with Red Bull, it's like a miracle. Have a couple of those and you'll feel great. It'll change your life. So I'll pick you up at 8 sao." It's a way to keep the tone light and fun, which is attractive and shows your persistence in a playful manner. For example, I've seen how I throw out a couple of lines like that and she keeps making more excuses like, "Oh, well, I don't know, I have a friend coming in from out of town." And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I talked to that friend and she thinks it's a great idea for you to go out with that dreamboat Christopher to that comedy show." Something like that. So, you're just being playful, showing her that you're having fun, not taking it too seriously, and also demonstrating that you're that guy who goes for what he wants, but in a respectful and cool manner. You're not begging or bothering her, you're just making it fun for both of you. One of the easiest ways to do this is to use whatever she says in the conversation. For instance, if she mentions a margarita, you can invite her to a margarita night and make a joke about it. This will keep you cool under pressure and show that you have a good sense of humor and personality. Even if she ultimately says she can't go out with you, you'll end on a positive note because you've created a playful and fun vibe. And that brings us to an important point. When a girl starts to pull away, it's not about trying to convince her or force her to change her mind. It's about reacting to her doubts and making her want to keep seeing you. She may not be sure of her feelings at that moment, but you still have the opportunity to show her who you are and give her that special feeling. But that's something we can discuss in another video. 3. Change platforms. Nowadays, when we go out with a girl a couple of times, we often connect with her more than just through her phone number. Maybe you matched her on Tinder, follow her on Instagram, are friends with her on Facebook, exchange messages on Snapchat, or even on TikTok. The point is, there are many connection points. And what can sting a bit about modern technologies is that when you're only texting, right? Many people just use text messages, and that whole text thread is there. So if maybe you made a mistake or maybe you did something that was a mistake, the next time you text her, she's going to look at that text thread and it's still there like Casper, the ghost of bad dating moves or whatever. Yeah. So, with those ghosts lingering, a really easy way to, start fresh or have a kind of blank slate is to move to a different platform. For example, you can follow the girl on Instagram and comment on her stories or send her a direct message. Simply by changing platforms, you can have a significant effect on her, getting back into the habit of responding to you. Changing platforms is like getting an extra life in a video game. Especially if you're good at building an attractive profile, as you are, this can make a difference. Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or even TikTok, having an attractive profile can help reset the interaction. Even changing your profile picture can be helpful, especially if it's an ex-girlfriend or someone important to you. Suddenly, she sees you differently, like it's a reset. Changing the profile picture interrupts the pattern and gives a fresh focus to your image. It's like wiping clean some of those past mistakes and giving the connection a new chance. So, to quickly recap before moving forward, we've talked about how to invite her out in a pressure-free way, right? We've also discussed being persistent not only in invitations, but also in how to handle rejection playfully to keep the attraction alive. Additionally, we've suggested changing platforms to reset the interaction. Now, if you're taking this new step, you don't want to mess it up. It's important to remember that she was interested enough to give you a second chance. You don't want to spoil it. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to this channel. I'll be releasing more videos that you'll surely find interesting. And remember, if you have a second chance, make sure to make her feel special, but it's also important to be willing to make some changes.
Men's secret.